Hello and welcome. As you kick off your journey with the Europe Hotel School, we're going to dive right into one of the most critical skills you'll ever need in front office management, how to handle a crisis. I'm here to walk you through it, pulling from real-world experience in modern hotel operations. So, here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with the absolute basics of crisis management. Then we'll jump into some real-world scenarios, like tech failures and that dreaded overbooking situation. After that, we'll focus on what's truly the most important piece of the puzzle. That's you. And finally, we'll talk about how to get everything back in order after the dust settles.
All right, let's get right to it with the foundation. Look, in any crisis, success isn't about just winging it. It's all about being prepared. Honestly, being ready for the unexpected is what separates a truly professional operation from a chaotic one. So let's build that foundation together.
At the very heart of all this is the contingency plan. Think of this as your hotel's official playbook for when things go sideways. It's not just some document sitting on a shelf, it's a detailed guide that tells every single person on the team exactly what to do, what tools they need, and how to keep things running smoothly for your guests no matter what's going on.
In this slide right here, it shows you exactly what we're talking about. This is your physical, honest-to-goodness backup toolkit. When all the digital systems go down, these are the tools that let you keep operating. We're talking manual folios to track charges, printed rooming lists to manage who's coming and going, and yep, even a manual credit card machine to process payments. These aren't relics from the past, believe me. They are absolutely essential tools for resilience. Okay, so now let's see how this all works in practice. In this next section, we're going to tackle some specific tech failures, from a simple system outage to a complete power loss. And what you're going to see is that every single one of these scenarios is totally manageable, as long as you stick to the plan. Okay, let's break this down because it's so important. Imagine it. Your property management system, your PMS, just goes dark. The number one thing to do is to stay calm and be systematic. First, you grab that printed rooming list. Then you greet the guest with confidence. And you carefully, meticulously fill out a manual folio. And I mean every single detail has to be neat and accurate. Because right now, this piece of paper is your single source of truth until the system comes back online. And it's really the same idea when it comes to payment processing. Over on the left, you've got our normal, everyday digital workflow. It's instant, it's easy. But on the right, that's our manual backup. Now, when you have to pull out that old imprint machine or maybe even ask for a cash deposit, the way you talk to the guest is everything. You have to calmly explain what's happening, that it's just a temporary procedural thing. Being transparent like that, that's what builds trust, even when things are a little inconvenient.
So, let's crank up the intensity a bit. Picture this, a complete power outage. The lights are out, the elevators have stopped, the computers are dead. In that moment, what is your number one, single most important priority?
It's all about guest reassurance. Seriously. Before you do anything else, your first job is to project calm and control. You need to be that steady voice in the room, explaining that the emergency systems are working, that the situation is being managed, and that everyone is safe. In that moment, your confidence, it becomes the anchor for absolutely everyone in that lobby.
Okay, let's switch gears. We're moving from technical failures to something that's, deeply human. This is the overbooking challenge. This is that moment where you have more reservations than you have rooms, and you're standing face to face with a guest, and you have to tell them you can't accommodate them. This calls for a totally different, but just as critical, skill set.
So the industry standard procedure for this is called the walk policy. And let me be clear, this isn't just about saying I'm sorry. It's a complete, comprehensive solution. It means arranging and paying for a room at a similar hotel nearby, covering their transportation, and a lot of the time, including other gestures to make things right. It's the professional way to turn a really bad situation into a resolved one. But how you deliver this news, that's an art form, and it follows a very specific flow. It has to start with empathy. You have to genuinely acknowledge the guest's frustration. Then, you calmly and clearly explain the situation. No excuses. But here's the key. You immediately present the solution, the walk policy, as a full support package. And finally, you personally take care of all the arrangements. When you do that, you transform yourself from the person who delivered bad news into their personal hero who solved the problem.
And this really brings us to the core idea of this entire session. Look, technology will fail. Procedures are going to be tested. But the one constant, the single most valuable asset a hotel has in a crisis, is you, the professional who stays calm and effective when the pressure is on.
So what does that professionalism look like in action? Well, it's these core behaviors. It's communicating clearly, so guests and your own colleagues know what's going on. It's documenting everything manually and accurately so the finances are sorted later. It's reassuring everyone with your confidence, because your calm sets the tone for the entire building. It's sticking to the procedures in that contingency plan. And above all, it's making sure that everyone is safe. These actions, they're like your armor in a crisis.
All right, our final section. Let's talk about what happens after the lights come back on or after the system is finally restored. Because for the guest, the crisis might be over. But for the back office, a really critical phase is just getting started, and that's the reconciliation process. And this is where all that careful manual paperwork you did really pays off. The night audit team becomes the star of the show here. They collect every single manual folio, every handwritten receipt. Then they have to painstakingly enter all of that data back into the PMS once it's up and running, cross-checking every single charge to make sure it's 100% accurate. The financial day can only be closed when everything is verified and balanced. It's a huge testament to just how important precision is, especially when you're under pressure. And that brings us to this quote, which I think just perfectly summarizes everything we've talked about. It really gets to the heart of the matter. These crisis situations, they do more than just test your procedures. They test your adaptability and your confidence in a way that no other task really can. Handling them well builds a kind of professional strength that, honestly, you just can't learn from a textbook.
So I'm going to leave you with this one final thought to take with you. We've gone over the plans, the tools, and all the procedures. But at the end of the day, all of that is just there to support you. The real question is a personal one. When, not if, but when the system fails, how are you going to use your training, your calm, and your professionalism to succeed?